So I think enterprises as they're getting into the whole mobile space and they're actually doing a whole lot of investments. There are significant amount of challenges. The topmost being amongst them is security, essentially, because with the proliferation of devices and more employees bringing their devices to work, especially with respect to non-managed bring your own device kind of scenarios, what really happens is that the enterprise has their own corporate apps, and they also have the data, the corporate information that is being then exposed to the mobile device. And as these employees are going outside of the office, there's a lot of risk and threat with respect to that information. The second thing is, the second in terms of challenges, the second thing is with respect to the increase in the platforms, right? So when there's a whole, there's a whole set of platforms on which native apps needs to be built. Now, that on the one side, so there's a whole lot of requirements with respect to mobile applications. The platforms are themselves very diverse and they are growing. And the skills and the kind of labor pool that you need and the kind of skill sets that are required to be able to build all these apps on such a diverse set of platforms is also very challenging. It's not like there are a whole lot of skills out there. There's a whole lot of skill pool out there which is immediately trained and available on the fly. The third level of challenges, especially with respect to making them running on an ongoing basis. There are elements of of enhancements. There are levels of integrations with various kinds of applications that needs to be built in. So even after building, the story is not over. One needs to constantly invest in making that app richer, in terms of making that app more useful for the enterprise and so on. So that's the whole aspect of making it run. And especially in the context of wearables, and that whole IoT element and the whole wearables element, the complexity just increases from that front. And the fourth element is finally the change management. End of the day, leadership needs to be involved. End of the day, it's all about the way you want an enterprise to run. So the leadership really needs to enable the change happen within the organization when it comes to actually setting the whole strategy, the whole roadmap for mobility within the organization, and how it is actually executed on the one side, and importantly how it is being adopted by the business users. That adoption element is very important. So that adoption can happen as a result of some level of enforcements that the leadership can really support with, and two, it needs to be clearly adopted by the business users because of the value that they see in it. Okay, so and it needs to be adopted in the right way, as a result of the trainings and some of the guidelines that you prescribe for employees. So mobility has impact across industries, right? So it's not like only a certain set of industries are most impacted with mobility, right? It has whether you talk about banking and financial services, or you talk about telecom or healthcare, education, agriculture, pharmaceutical, automotive, manufacturing, across industries it has its impact, because an ecosystem, any organization deals with a set of ecosystem and its stakeholders, which may be its partners, its employees, its vendors, its customers, and so on. So the entire ecosystem is actually living on, or increasingly using a mobile device, a tablet, or any form of device for the day-to-day work. So right from creation to consumption, of information and everything else in between is essentially something that every user is relying on, right? So in order to ensure that they are able to conduct the business process in a very seamless way. So irrespective of industries, the kind of innovation that they are doing with mobility, it's very high. So my answer would be that mobility is not really for A, B or C industries. They're not for a specific set of industries. Whether you talk about, like I mentioned, almost all industries can benefit significantly by the right adoption of mobility. So I think Indian enterprises are very dynamic and they are progressing really well when it comes to adoption of digital transformation. Clearly, in some of the recent studies that I have actually come across, the kind of impact that that the investment in digital has had with respect to the returns that they have got is very, very impressive. And I think India is probably one of the leading countries so far as how digital transformation has actually led to an impact on the performance improvement. There are a whole lot of there's a whole lot of work which is happening by large enterprises and SMEs alike in terms of adoption of these technologies, and there's a significant amount of growth that Indian enterprises are looking at from a digital adoption standpoint. Are they doing it? I'd say the potential is huge. In terms of the way SMBs can adopt digital, we see a lot of these of the SMBs today adopting online. With respect to how they are, especially in the B2C segment, and with respect to how they are actually selling. So SMBs are also considering, adopting digital. Clearly, the volumes of the number of organizations in the SMB space which can potentially transform themselves with digital is a significantly large number. The kind of initiatives that probably are taken by SMBs are different from those taken by large enterprises, because the process and the technology maturity within those organizations are different. Each one of those large enterprises' process and technology maturity is different from that of a SMB. So the kind of initiatives they take towards digital is different. But they are far more quicker in terms of their execution once they are convinced that this is the direction and this is the kind of return that it's going to give them on their investment. Aavali is clearly, we want to be a partner for digital transformation for the enterprise segment, and we have built a very strong foundation with enterprise information management. In over 45 plus large enterprises, with our consulting and technology services, we have built a pretty strong foundation, but we have a lot of work to do in order to reach our goal to be a partner for digital transformation. So there is a lot of growth and expansion plans on the card. We are currently doing well in the Asia and the Africa regions. We have some of the leading customers out there who have worked with us to transform their operational processes and their customer facing processes with digital. But scaling up is our next biggest priority. So how we get ourselves to scale up from here on and maybe get to a significant amount of customer acquisitions is something that we are working towards.